Good morning.
سلام بر همه دوستا تقدیم میکنم.
Good morning. I'm Mike Van Dusen, Deputy Director of the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. Welcome to the center. This is the official and living memorial to our 28th President. We are delighted to have as our guest for this Directors Forum the President of the National Assembly of Afghanistan and Speaker of the OECD Jirga, Mohammed Yunus Qanuni. I want to thank Dr. Mark Baskin and his team at the State University of New York at Albany for their help in arranging this meeting. Dr. Baskin is a former Woodrow Wilson Center scholar, a good friend, and he and his team have been working with Afghanistan's National Assembly. The Wilson Center is a public-private institution, receiving some government funding, but raising slightly more than two-thirds of its resources from non-appropriated and private sources. The Center's mission is to bring together thinkers and doers, scholars and policymakers, the academics, and the business practitioner, in the confident hope that from their dialogue on public policy issues, each will learn from the other. The work of both will be enriched, and better understanding and better policy can emerge. As the only president we've had who had a doctorate, Woodrow Wilson spoke eloquently to the challenges and mutual benefits of bringing these two worlds together. Through close to 800 meetings a year in the presence of over 150 scholars during the course of a year, the Center's work and its scholarship commemorates the ideals and concerns of Wilson. The Center is a nonpartisan institute for advanced study, a neutral and civil forum for free, open, serious, and informed dialogue. The Center's outreach seeks to extend conversations at the Center worldwide and through publishing, broadcasting, and Internet programs. This program this morning is being webcast and I believe will also be on C-SPAN. Our aim is to inform the public dialogue with a broad hospitality to many different views, and we believe in the magic of dialogue. Our subject today is very much in the Wilsonian tradition. Speaker Qanuni is from the Panjshir province in the north of Afghanistan. He is a lifelong nationalist dedicated to the cause of Afghan unity. He fought against the Soviet occupation in the 1980s, served as defense minister in the early 1990s, and resisted the Taliban rule later in the 90s. The Speaker ran in the 2004 presidential elections and placed second to President Karzai. Following the 2005 parliamentary elections, he was chosen to lead the 249-seat lower house of Afghanistan's National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, welcome to the Woodrow Wilson Center. We look forward to your remarks. The Speaker has graciously agreed to answer some questions at the conclusion of his remarks. Thank you for being here.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم.
In the name of God Almighty,
من سپاسگزاری دارم در
I
آغاز
am very grateful
از مؤسسه محترم ویلسون سنتر
and that
همکارای عزیزی که
those thanks go
فرصت
to
ملاقات با شما
Woodrow Wilson
دانشمندان،
Center for the opportunity to speak with you, scholars, diplomats, researchers, and this is a golden opportunity for me, and also I am grateful for the government of the United States, the great nation of the Americans, for helping the government and people of Afghanistan in different stages. And right now, the main backer of Afghanistan in order to reach democracy and the rule of law and to lay the foundation of a new Afghanistan on the basis of new values. America is number one. And also I'm grateful for the presence of the soldiers of the United States who are there fighting shoulder to shoulder with the Afghan police and Afghan army, fighting against terrorism, fighting against drugs, and they are giving the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan. And to the nation of the United States, where millions of people are supporting by their income tax the expenses in Afghanistan. My dear friends, the subject of the discussions today would be the democratization of Afghanistan, and this is a main subject not only for us Afghans but also for our international friends. Luckily, today democracy in Afghanistan, not as a slogan and not as an ideal, but as a goal, has been pursued, and a path in order to solve the different problems which we feel in our political life, in our social life. And this has been accepted as a solution, as a proven path. Democracy is important for us, and also it is important for our international friends. And this is important for the two nations, your nation and the Afghan nation. Democracy in Afghanistan is a newborn baby, born a few years ago, 6 years ago. This child needs nursing, needs support, and we have the determination to see this child grow up and grow up with good health and good education and to be healthy. The main question is what is the level of understanding of the people in Afghanistan when it comes to democracy. This brings the question of the way of thinking about democracy, and that differs from country to country. And I am talking about the idea that the word democracy creates in Afghanistan, and the expectations that the international community has about the question of democracy in Afghanistan. My dear friends, democracy in Afghanistan and to the people of Afghanistan has been recognized as a successful idea and successful experience for governing and for establishing government. We accept democracy as a way and a path, and we learn this from you, our good friends in the West. And the people of Afghanistan using this proven experience, using it for government affairs and governing the everyday lives of the people, and this has become a successful template in Afghanistan. The will of the people of Afghanistan is behind this principle. Making government organization is based on the will of the people, and governing in a particular way is on the base of the will of the people. And this is the idea of democracy in the minds of the people. Democracy in Afghanistan has not arrived in its very complicated stage. Right now, it is simple and very clear, and people understand it as a way, as a path. The position of the people of Afghanistan and their point of view with regards to democracy as a path has also an old root in the culture of the history of Afghanistan. In the 200 years of history of Afghanistan, the change of power in Afghanistan, the people of Afghanistan has really seen a change of power by their own will. Governments have been grabbing power in order to come to the power, or the throne has been transferred in a family line, or some of the countries who want to see their interest in Afghanistan, they have brought their own puppets. And in none of these ways in the history of Afghanistan, you cannot see a regime on the basis of the will of the people previously. Luckily now, 3 years before today, for the first time in the history of Afghanistan, the great nation of Afghanistan became the witnesses of the formation of the government according to their own will. And that was the birth of democracy in Afghanistan 3 years ago. And for the first time, we witnessed the elections for the office of the president. The result of these leaderships now has brought us to the point that the current generation in Afghanistan, and hopefully the coming generations in Afghanistan, should not be the sacrifices of those who want to use the power at their own will. Afghanistan has a very rich nature, and also the geopolitical of Afghanistan is very important and real, and the people of Afghanistan are hardworking people. But because of a lack of government and leadership according to the will of the people, we have not been able to use the opportunities in the past. And you, our friends, know that the saying that Afghans or the poor people who walk on a treasure, that is true, and that shows how rich the nature of the land is. According to a late aerial survey in Afghanistan, there are more than 1,400 areas for mining in Afghanistan. And the capacity of these mines will be worth $3 trillion. But so far, no leadership has not been able to dig these mines out and to bring it to the use of the people. And this is a proof of the fact that the previous regimes were not democratic. Therefore, my dear friends, today we are witnessing the birth of democracy in Afghanistan, and the ways of governing in Afghanistan were undemocratic. Previously, the governments were the dictators, and the nation was to carry the load, and the government was based on fair, and the result of those negative ways of governing has been that today Afghanistan is among the backward countries, and the result is poverty, the result is illiteracy, is disease, and lack of development in social and economic affairs. And this is what we have inherited from our past in Afghanistan. But we are very lucky and fortunate that today, as a result of the support and leadership of the international community and at the will of the Afghan people, we are witnessing a new life, political life in Afghanistan. The next question is democracy finding a good field in Afghanistan? Ladies, gentlemen, I would like to say that yes, in Afghanistan, we have the proper field for democracy in the minds of the people, and also in the legal arena, and also in the political arena, social arena, and international arena. The people of Afghanistan are tired of the old ways, and people have matured politically. The men and women in Afghanistan want to govern themselves and to have the foundations of the government laid according to their own will, and also to not to repeat the old ways of dictatorship. This is the situation. With regards to the laws, the new constitution of Afghanistan is a very powerful guarantee for democracy in Afghanistan. In our new constitution, the leadership has been given to the people of Afghanistan. Election has been recognized. Political pluralism has been recognized. The formation of political parties have been recognized. And also the right to elect and to be elected has been given to both men and women in Afghanistan. And the participation of women in all aspects of social and political life of Afghanistan has been guaranteed. The freedom of speech, freedom of press, all guaranteed. The formation of political parties are guaranteed. Right now we have more than 83 registered political parties in Afghanistan. The right to disagree and to express dissatisfaction with employment and other expressions have been guaranteed, and their freedom have been guaranteed. Differences which existed in the past, they have been rejected, and all of these prove that with regards to the law, we have the field for the growth of democracy. But so far, 6 years after the turning the new page in Afghanistan, for bringing democracy into life, what we have done, I would like to say proudly that during the last 6 years, we have been able to take very good and positive steps, which gives us hope for the future. Democracy, as mentioned before, is an infant right now, and this infant has to be nursed. The government in Afghanistan, the nation of Afghanistan, as well as our international friends will take part in this nursing and nurturing. And also we have to define the limit of our expectations that we have from democracy in Afghanistan. We cannot expect what we can expect from an old democracy in other places where they have democracy for centuries. We are just at the beginning of this path, but with a great will, we have the determination to see this child grow up with your help. My dear friends, the new constitution in Afghanistan, as you know, has been ratified, and the election for the office of the president took place, and the parliament came as the main foundation of democracy in Afghanistan. And I'm very proud to say that the parliament in Afghanistan, which is only 19 months old, has been able to establish its place in the hearts of the great nation of the Afghan people, and also in the international arena. The different organs of government have been formed. We have a government, we have a parliament, we have a judicial power. We have the freedom of speech and freedom of press guaranteed according to the Constitution. Today, parallel to the government publications, we have 10 different private institutions of broadcasting and press, and they enjoy freedom. Men and women in Afghanistan all play parts in this, and they are busy expressing themselves. The presence of women in different aspects of life in Afghanistan has already been established, and I'm very proud to say that only in our very young parliament in Afghanistan, 28% of the participants are women, and according to the President Bush, when he visited Afghanistan, he said that the percentage of women in the Afghan parliament is greater than in the US parliament. My dear friends, Parliament in Afghanistan is a miniature Afghanistan, and it is made up of different ethnic groups. People come from different political backgrounds, men and women coming all together. We in our young parliament have former communists, we have former freedom fighters, we have former Talibs, personalities also which did not belong to any previous regimes. The result is that everybody is gathered under the same roof for democracy. And today the greatest doctrine of making a nation has been followed, and this is true with regards to the government and also to the supervisory role of the parliament. Right now, 1.5 million Afghan girls have the opportunity to go back to school, and this is in comparison to the fact that 6 years ago, during the rule of the Taliban, the Afghan woman, the Afghan girl, was deprived from playing a part in the society. They were deprived of the right to education, the right to work. Even the footstep of a woman was prohibited according to the Taliban. But right now in all the universities in Afghanistan, in all the schools in Afghanistan, we have women and we have girls, and they have the right to be there. And this is one of the things that we can show for what we have achieved during this period. But my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, our progress in this area does not mean that we do not have any challenges in front of us. Unfortunately, we have some very serious challenges in front of us. Still, the political field in Afghanistan is not ripe and ready. We lack a political culture. This can be seen at the government level, and also it could be seen in the common people. And this is because democracy is a new experiment in Afghanistan. We need time so that we could prepare the field, the bed for democracy, from the top and to the bottom. And because of that, we still, the relationship between different organizations of the government have not been regulated properly, and still parliamentary supervision has not been officially recognized by the executive branch. We still have difficulty passing the laws, and we feel ourselves to be at a position where we still have a long way to go, and we still have difficulty accepting each other in Afghanistan when it comes to ethnic groups and other groups. And still people try to eradicate each other instead of living together. And this is what we have inherited from the past. When after the 7th of Saur, the communists took power in Afghanistan, they started eradicating their opposition. And when the Mujahideen, the freedom fighters, took power, they could not face the communists. And when the Taliban took power, they could not bear the existence of the communists or the freedom fighters. And in Afghanistan, we still have difficulty accepting opposition. This is one of the challenges of democracy. It is our belief that we should bring ourselves to the area where we should accept each other. We should get out of the mold of ethnic groups. We should get out of the political molds. We should come to the area of the great national identity. We should have the courage to accept opposition. We should accept each other. The courage to accept each other's ideas. This channel, this corridor could lead us to the real democracy in Afghanistan. Until the mentality of eradicating opposition is there, and until we take this out of our mind, we cannot get the idea of democracy inside our minds. My dear friends, those people who go to the extremes with regards to the ethnic interests and also to the interpretations of religion, they present two other challenges in Afghanistan in the way of democracy. Those people who go to the extremes and they who are still in the very tight capsules of ethnic interest, they cannot believe in the national interest. They cannot be the believers in democracy. The interest according to the ethnic basis has to be uprooted, and also the interpretations of religion or against the interpretation of democracy, and we could find a way of towards democracy in real interpretation of Islam. Still, there are organizations of Afghanistan who are not for democracy. And I'm not saying this as a president of the parliament of Afghanistan, but as a citizen of Afghanistan, that the parliamentary regime in Afghanistan could prepare the field for democracy better in Afghanistan. And the monopoly of power in Afghanistan will be an obstacle in the way of the will of the people. It will be better that in the structures of the power, the will of the people should be a part of the formula. And also the election of the governors in provinces will be according to the will of the local people, and that will encourage us toward democracy in the future. The imbalance in the different areas of life in Afghanistan is another obstacle. We cannot go in one direction alone. For our success in democracy, we have to spread the principles of democracy in all the areas, in the political arena and the social and economic arena. In one area, if we go too far, that will mean that we will fall behind in other areas. And also the laws in Afghanistan, the laws which work like chains, these are other challenges in the way of democratization of Afghanistan. It is our duty as the representatives of the people of Afghanistan, so that in the foundations of the laws of the country and also in the reformation and reform of the laws and also in the making of the new laws to consider the growth of democracy and to take big steps in this direction. I would like to say with pride that we have been able to take such steps already. What is the way out of these challenges for us? My dear friends, if we just talk about solutions, that will not be the remedy. Therefore, implementation is important. People want democracy. Democracy is a solution. Democracy is a goal. But how could we get the challenges out of the way? My first proposal would be that democracy should be considered as a strategy. And the strategy should be an all-encompassing for the democratization of Afghanistan in all areas, and that should be our #1 priority. And this strategy should include a few very important points that I will just briefly mention. First of all, a very clear image of democracy for the people. Democracy coming to a traditional society, a backward society, a society which is coming out of the war, like Afghanistan, should not have the wrong interpretation. We should not give the wrong picture of democracy to the people of Afghanistan. Democracy in Afghanistan should not oppose religion and faith. Democracy is a way. Democracy is against dictatorship, not against a religion or belief. Democracy in Afghanistan should work from the top down and also from the base up. And if we start from one direction only, we will create reactions. We have to work from the bottom and from the top, from the grassroots and from the top. And we have to lay the foundations for this. And with regards to the extremism, with regards to the ethnic interest, and also with regards to the interpretations of religion against democracy, we will have to be wise. And this way we could prepare the bed for democracy in Afghanistan. The formation of power in Afghanistan should be based according to the principles of democracy in all levels of the government. The basis of decision making should be the will of the people of Afghanistan. The laws which work as a chain have to be reformed. New laws using your experience, the experience of your friends living in a democratic country should be our symbol. I can say very proudly that the representative of the people have already passed the law of press in Afghanistan, and this law is according to the values of democracy. And in our area, that is a law which does not have another law like it in the region. And this has been passed, and this has paved the road for political pluralism and has guaranteed progress in this law. We have the laws for demonstrations, and also we are discussing right now the laws of elections. the strategy for balanced growth in Afghanistan should be discussed so that we could witness a balanced development in all areas of life in Afghanistan. I do not want to make you tired. I want to also leave time for questions and answers, but I want to end by saying that democracy in Afghanistan is not a luxury slogan, but a need, a desire, a goal. And we are talking about that right now in Afghanistan. Democracy and democratization of the country is important mentally, intellectually, legally, politically, socially, and also for the continued support of our international friends. It still has a very strong base in Afghanistan. The work that we have done in the last 6 years give us hope, give us encouragement. The process of democratization of Afghanistan by you, our friends, and the strengthening of the democratic institutions in Afghanistan should continue. By you, by our people, we should not let this infant be buried in infancy. It is a must that this infant should be nurtured into maturity. This will exist in the Parliament of Afghanistan and in the nation very strongly. Thank you very much for your patience. I thank every one of you, and I hope that in the future we could still talk about further steps of democracy in Afghanistan. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Speaker Kanuni has agreed to take some questions. I guess I'm going to take the prerogative of the chair and start. Mr. Speaker, two of your important neighbors are Iran and Pakistan. I would like your comments on Afghan relations with Iran and Pakistan, and the degree to which you think they are a positive or negative force for your efforts to build democracy in Afghanistan.
Thank you very much. Yes, we have these two neighbors. Unfortunately, we did not choose them, and we cannot exchange them either. Our relationship with these two neighbors is something that we inherited. Pakistan is one of the neighbors which has the most effect in Afghanistan, and our past relationship with them is obvious. Pakistan could play a role in stability and peace in Afghanistan, and we still have the hope that our neighbor Pakistan, with a review of their strategy towards Afghanistan, instead of destabilizing Afghanistan, would instead of supporting the terrorists in Afghanistan, instead that they should work for bringing confidence between the two nations. A friendly relationship with Iran, with Pakistan, with all the nations is good for us, for the community of the nations. It is unfortunate that some of our neighbors are not working with us as they should have had Iran too, after Pakistan, is very important and effective. And we have had different chapters with Iran and in Pakistan in our history. It is our hope and our expectation of our nation that both neighbors who have so many things in common with us, they should work with us with regards to stability in Afghanistan, and they should help us in this area, collaborate in this area. This desire has not come to fruition yet. It is our hope that in the future this come to fruition.
Thank you very much. I open the floor, the lady here in the second row.
My name is Nazira Karimi, correspondent for Ariana Television from Afghanistan. آقای قانونی میشه در مورد اختلافی که بین شورای ملی و حکومت به اصطلاح فعلا وجود داره
the parliament and the government, if you could tell us about the nature of the disagreement and also the solution.
بسیار تشکر میکنم.
Thank you very much. And I did not need translation. I would like to say that the differences between parliament and the government is the kind of differences that any government will have with the parliament in that country, and that will be a resistance against parliamentary supervision. And as I mentioned, the culture of parliamentary supervision in Afghanistan has not matured. One of the things that we have talked about is the taking of confidence away from two members of the government. And the points of the Constitution were used in this area. And this area, taking away the confidence of the people, is one of the authorities of the parliament. And this is a decision to be taken by the people. And this will not be one of the powers of the government. The people of Afghanistan made the decision, but we are unfortunately to say here that this was not respected, the will of the people, and my hope is that in the near future this will end.
Down here in the first row, Dr. Asfandiari, and then Helga.
منم فارسی حرف میزنم.
I too will speak Farsi.
ترجمه نباشه.
No need for translation.
موقعی که این نوزاد پا به عرصه وجود گذاشت،
when this infant was born, a number of countries made promises for reconstruction of Afghanistan. Could you please mention which countries kept their promises, which ones did not, and what were your expectations from these countries in the international arena? Thank you very much.
And enough time to list all of them.
Yes, as you mentioned,
democracy
was one of the values discussed in Bonn conference between us and our international friends, and we had commitments. And I would like to say this frankly, that we are very grateful for the help that we received from our international friends. Without their help, the situation today in Afghanistan would not be a reality. I'm very glad that this help came to Afghanistan at different levels and came to Afghanistan. And the number of countries who have not been able to fulfill all their promises, we would like to see that in the future they would.
Here and then the back row next.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm Helga Haftendorn from Berlin, Germany. My question relates to the poppy production. What are your parliament's and your government's plans to cope with the poppy production? Do you have alternate lifestyle for the people? And how do you think you can cope with the opium trade? You probably will also need the cooperation of some of the other countries, especially the Central Asian country north of Afghanistan. Thank you very much.
تشکر خانم از سوال شما.
Thank you very much for the question.
میخوام عنوان بکنم که
I would like to say
خوشبختانه
that luckily the parliament and also the executive branch, all of them are active in national interest, and we have the common point of view. The question of narcotics in Afghanistan not only is a scourge in Afghanistan but also in the region, and we with bitterness we can admit the increase of the production of narcotics in Afghanistan, and we are committed to fight this scourge. It is our belief that the strategy of fighting against narcotics in the last 6 years were not successful strategies, and because of that the production of narcotics increased, and the lesson that we learn is that we should change the strategy and also test new strategies. And for this, I would propose that at the national level and also with our neighbors and also at the international level, global level with Interpol would have a common policy. Yes, these poppies are grown in Afghanistan, but all the chemicals needed for the processes come from outside. And the money from narcotics finance terrorism. There is a logical relationship between the two. Wherever in Afghanistan there is lack of stability, there is more opium. Obviously, the government in Afghanistan showed weakness in some areas. And I think that instead of fighting our way from the base to the top, we should start from the top to the base. And the intention is to bring the money out of the bonds of mafia, the bands of mafia, which are using the money, and also there are circles outside the boundaries of Afghanistan using that money. Therefore, we would suggest that the strategy fighting narcotics should be changed. Up as far as belonging to the parliament, the representative of the people have supported the government with determination. The laws for fighting narcotics has already passed, and the cultivation of poppy in Afghanistan, even for medical use, has been banned. That shows the determination of the parliament against the poppies. Thank you very much.
We have a question in the back, and then there are two gentlemen down here in the middle.
Hi, I'm Dan Segalin from the NewsHour with Jim Lehrer. I'd like to ask you if the United States takes military action against Iran, what impact would that have in Afghanistan?
تشکر میکنم.
Thank you.
تجربه ما افغان ها ای هست.
Our experience shows
ما نگرانی های کشور دوست خود ایالات متحده آمریکا را
the concerns of the United States are felt by the Afghan people. Our previous experience shows that your preoccupation in Iraq overshadowed the situation in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan was partly forgotten, and that partly became the cause of the re-emergence of terrorism in Afghanistan. It is our hope that the concerns that the Americans have in the region should be solved with foresight, and there should be no need for military engagement in the area, so that we Afghans should not become once again with the preoccupation of our great friend, the United States. Thank you.
The gentleman here, and then in the second row, Maria Stella.
For democracy to develop or flourish, some analysts, they argue that preconditions should exist. Among many, to name a few, name a couple would be, well, based on the success models that we've had in the West, industrial revolution, or the process of secularization, which eventually resulted to the weakening of religion, and secularization became a religion by itself. So in the absence of such preconditions in Afghanistan, where is democracy hitting? I mean, industrial revolution helped efficient means of transportation, such as railway, roads, cities were connected, people became closer. As you pointed out, given the history of Afghanistan, the ethnic unrest, the linguistic unrest, the regional unrest, we don't have railways now. We don't have, our main cities are not connected. So in the absence of such preconditions, where do you see democracy in Afghanistan? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Look, this goes back to our recognition of the current situation of Afghanistan. We are coming out of the tradition and progressing towards modernism. We are in a transitional period. In this period, if we use the experiences of those countries who had 2 centuries to grow democracy, and if we try to copy their model and use that model in overnight, that will mean that we will make a mistake with regards to bringing democracy in Afghanistan. I think democracy will come to the country gradually. This takes time. And if we take democracy and consider it as something against religion, it will be something wrong. And therefore, we accept democracy as a way. Democracy is against dictatorship, not against religion. With regards to democratization of Afghanistan, we think that our way will lead us to success. We need balanced progress in a country where the period of war has been left behind just now. And believe me, with the good press, with good economy, this can be done. And if we could not create the idea of democracy in our leaders, we will not be successful. And if we bring religion and democracy face to face to each other, that will be a mistake. And only a balanced progress will be a positive progress. Thank you.
And then the woman in the far back.
Thank you very much. My name is John Sandrock. I'm with Analytic Services Incorporated. Salam alaikum آقای کنونی. ما تقریبا 30 سال پیش به افغانستان زندگی کردم. از آن وقت بسیار داری فراموش کردم. از این سبب سوال ما به انگلیسی.
بسیار خوب صحبت میکنن. بهتر از من.
You speak good Farsi.
I will, however, switch to English. My question has to do with the police and reform police and the security, that role that the security must play in any modern democracy. And I would very much appreciate your evaluation of the progress of the Afghan police and also the judicial system and so on, how that ties in. I know this is a large question, but perhaps you could give us some clues as to what we may expect. Thank you. تشکر شما.
بسیار تشکر میکنم.
Thank you very much.
مثل بس از تجربه ما
Like many of our experiences, we have new army and new police force,
به مرحله خودکفایی نرسید.
and our police force is not self-sufficient yet, but their training has started. And I'm very glad yesterday in my meeting with Mrs. Pelosi, I thanked her for the new budget for the training of the police in Afghanistan. The police needs to be strengthened and trained. And the people of Afghanistan are worried about the situation in Afghanistan with regards to peace, and this has been taken very seriously in Afghanistan. It is my hope that at the end of these reforms, with regards to the quantity of the force of police and also with regards to quality, we should have a national police which will be up to the challenge for the people. And I believe that such a new police organization will be a help for bringing democracy in Afghanistan, because lack of stability and lack of stability in the country is against bringing democracy. We're glad that we have the judicial force, and recently we have had some reforms in this area. Luckily, there is a good relationship between the judicial department and the legislative department, and we are supporting any changes which are good for the people. And the police has limited powers under the Constitution, and more than all, I'm very glad to say that the new Constitution is our national document which paves the road in all three branches of the government. What remains is respect for the law and enforcing the law. Thank you.
We have a lot of hands up, and I'm afraid I'm only going to be able to, I think there are three people in the next to last row there. The lady first.
Hi, my name is Anu Tesfaye, and I'm from Equality Now. And I appreciate your comment regarding the lack of political culture on the public level as well as on the government level. And I'm particularly concerned with, while you're in transitional level, with not following the rules and procedures that are being set in place. And now I'm speaking specifically of the suspension of Malala Joya from her seat on the Walesi Jirga, even according to the rules that are in place, that are in the process of being in place for the Walesi Jirga, Article 70. Her suspension did not follow the procedures that you have in place, and I'm wondering whether there are any steps to correct this unconstitutional manner in which she was suspended, and how long it would be in the process of trying to reinstate her.
بسیار تشکر از طرح سوال شما.
Thank you very much for the question.
ابتدا میخوایم بگیم که بله مرحله گذار.
I would like to repeat that yes, the transitional period will have its problems.
مدیریت نیرومند
in the countries where the leadership by the government is not good enough. They will have difficulty in the transitional period. But the particular question that you have in Afghanistan, this question is simpler than outside. In Afghanistan, the name of the representative that you mentioned, the Afghan people take this much simpler. The decision that the representative took with regards to Malala Joya comes back to her own actions. In some of the actions and speeches of the representatives, some of the principles are not respected. the decision which was taken by the body, legislative body, was completely according to our rules, and because of that, according to the Constitution, I am very sorry to say that our particular sister showed the kind of action and reaction that everybody in the legislative body felt insulted. It was a direct insult, and these expressions were against the democratic principles. We would like to see democratic values on those areas on both sides, and she has not been expelled, and whenever she comes back and she can get the agreement of the other members, she could have her seat.
My name is Rafael Cohen Almago. I'm here at the Wilson Center. Mr. Speaker, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the United States and the Wilson Center. I was heartened and pleased to hear your commitment to democracy. You spoke eloquently and elaborately about the transition phase and to the extent that Afghanistan is committed to democracy. I'm also heartened to hear that women are taking the appropriate place in the Afghan society and now assuming their offices in education, in universities, and also in parliament. This is also very heartening. I'd like to ask you some question about education, if I may. One is, do you have any compulsory education in Afghanistan? The second is the level of illiteracy in Afghanistan. And third, did you consider the issue of introducing democratic education or citizenship education that is very instrumental in the transition towards democracy? And if not, maybe it's something that you should consider. Thank you very much.
تشکر میکنم از کلمات صمیمانه شما. تعلیم و تربیت در افغانستان هنوز اجباری نشد، ولی رایگان هست، تسهیلات بر همه یکسان هست تا
free of charge and the opportunity is for all, so that everybody could benefit. The spirit of our constitution is such that the primary education should be compulsory, and this could be a good way of fighting illiteracy. We are glad that despite the situation in Afghanistan, there is the opportunity for the children in Afghanistan to come back to school freely. Unfortunately, there are some problems with regard to security. Unfortunately, in Afghanistan, more than 70% of the people are illiterate, and some of it goes back to our history, and part of it is because of the current situation. But our fight against illiteracy in Afghanistan is already underway. The Ministry of Education has large plans, and when I had the honor of serving in that ministry, we laid down the foundation for the plan. The citizens of Afghanistan, I would like to say first of all that we are a very traditional society, but we are now recognizing the citizens in Afghanistan, and these were probably in the future subjects. So we see the transition of subjects to citizens. But again, there too, we have not seen the end of the road. This is the beginning of the road, and we are making progress.
TV people should stand up. سید سلیمان آشنا از صدای آمریکا هستم و
سلیمان آشنا از صدای آمریکا. I'm glad that you are here. I'm from the Voice of America. What is very important, and you know that the situation in Afghanistan with regards to security is not very good. And in Pakistan too, we do not see the situation with security very good. As the president of the Afghan parliament, And you mentioned the role of Pakistan in the security or lack of security in Afghanistan. And I would think that the Pakistanis are not able to bring security to their own country. How could they bring security to Afghanistan? And therefore, what will be your proposal with regards to using the forces so that without bombarding the centers of terrorism or the villages, some good results could be attained so that both countries could enjoy better levels of security. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashna, my old Ashna, my old friend. Certainly, we are very sorry to say that lack of security in the area has developed in a way that our neighboring country, Pakistan, too, has now been affected by lack of security. And this is not new. In Afghanistan, we always said that terrorists will not recognize borders. And today, the lack of security in Pakistan proves our point that we have made in the past. But terrorism, the way that has not been limited to Afghanistan, will not remain limited to Pakistan either. This is an international phenomenon, and it requires a global response. What we suggest is that there should be a triangle made of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the United States. United States being friendly with us and friendly with the Pakistanis. We could form this triangle, and we could bring a new strategy by this triangle. And instead of fighting the old way, we should start a new way of fighting terrorism in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And the best way will be to fight terrorism and their bases, best because we could think of security as such that terrorism could not be imported to Afghanistan, and that could be stopped. And that will reduce the casualties in Afghanistan and also reduce the casualties by the international forces, and also the south side of Afghanistan, which is the site of the greatest sacrifices, could be more secure, and this could also build confidence between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and the return of Benazir Bhutto in Pakistan could bring another opportunity. This opportunity could be utilized by Pakistan, Afghanistan, the United States in order to fight against terrorism and lack of security in that area. Thank you very much, all of you, for your patience.
Speaker Kanuni, we thank you very much for being with us. I want to recognize your delegation. Thank you.